Are you excited? So we're going to get kicked off in just a few minutes. But before we do that, pizza is served. If you go out the door and look to your left, we have some dinner set up for you. Please go out, grab a slice, take 5 minutes, and then we're going to get kicked off very shortly.
Hello, could I have your attention? Hi, can we get started? Hi, I'm Monica from OCAD University. I am the director of the Research and Innovation Institute, and this weekend was awesome. That's our word, awesome. The projects were amazing. The range of creativity and teamwork, awesome. So I would like to take just a little time to thank the organizers, Holly, Chris, Heather, Rob, Alysha, and Sunil. Awesome, right? And I also would like to take the time to thank our staff, although most of them are still working and not here. Our AV and IT support staff that helped with the smart classrooms, and we're at 2:05 handing you stuff. Amazing. Our Fab Lab monitors, rapid prototyping, and electronics. My assistants who put the tables and chairs together for you, security. Our IT, our director of the data center, was wireless okay? Awesome, yes. And Nick Cooper, our studio manager, amazing, who bought all the stuff and organized all the stuff for you. And then, of course, his team of people behind the scenes that are helping us and supporting our industry partners like Startup Weekend. So what did you think of OCAD? Can we do this again? Great. Good luck. Thank you.
Hey, everybody. I also have a bunch of people that I want to thank, but first off, I just want to say congratulations to all of you guys. You've all worked incredibly hard this weekend, and there's going to be some really, really awesome stuff being presented. I can't wait to see how far you've come. I feel like it was late last night when I last checked in with most of you, and I know that a day is a long time in Startup Weekend land, so I'm looking forward to seeing the progress that you guys have made. I want to say thank you to Monica and everybody at OCAD. You guys have been amazing venue partners, really easy to work with, very accommodating. Your team were wicked. We can't thank you enough for all of that. I also want to give a huge thank you to our volunteers. I really want to hear it from the volunteers, everybody, who really made this event work. Exhibit A, a volunteer. we have more than one, I promise. We also have a ton of sponsors. I'm not going to go through them all right now. We'll do that at the Beer Academy, the after party. But I want to give some call-outs especially to the guys at OCE who are a partner of us for now, but also moving forward. They've been incredibly supportive and really helped us make this event what it is. The guys at GE, General Electric, we've got Christina, one of our judges from GE. They helped us out with the amazing MakerBot 3D printer that you guys are going to be competing to win. They sent down a ton of mentors. They've been really helpful and really supportive. So thank you so much, guys. We appreciate it a lot. Also to the working group, mine and Chris's company, for giving us the time and the resources to be able to make this happen. And to the guys at MakeLab as well. So MakeLab are the team that brought the fleet of 3D printers, Jonathan over there, that really made this event maker as it was. So thank you very much, guys. We thought it was awesome. So how is it going to work right now? I'm sure you guys are keen to see what order you guys are going to be presenting in. We have, for you today, a document camera. So as well as bringing your laptop or your USB up to the front to present, we also have this option so that you can actually show people your prototype and they're not squinting trying to see a very small robotic item, which also has the running order on it. Can you guys see that? Is that all of them? Hang on. All right, so take note of the running order. Please ignore my handwriting and last-minute name changes. So we're going to call out the teams, we're going to call out the team on deck, and we're also going to get the next team on the list to come up and prepare. So if you're in the list below the team that's presenting, please come up to the side. We have Michael from OCAD is going to be your IT Ninja Specialist support guy. He'll help you get hooked up with whatever you need. After the presentations are over, we are all going to be going to the Beer Academy on Victoria Street, which is near Young and Dundas Square. please bring your prototypes with you to the Beer Academy. We're going to have a display zone set up so people can actually get to touch the things that you've made, hopefully not break them, but we're going to let people get up close and personal with the prototypes that you've been putting together. I'm now going to hand over to Sunil, who is going to introduce you to our amazing judging panel and talk you through the prizes.
Thanks, Holly. All right, guys. The best news is that we have both amazing judges and amazing prizes just to go with some incredible teams. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce each of the 5 judges by name, and I'm going to let them stand up and just tell you a little bit about themselves. And before I do that, I'll just run through the prizes with some specificity so you know like what's at stake here. So first prize for the winning team, there's going to be a 3D printer MakerBot Replicator 2 plus filament given away, and that's courtesy of GE. It's an incredible prize. It's unprecedented in the sort of prize world.
Best prize ever.
Yeah. Followed closely by Bionym giving away NEMI pre-orders to the entire winning team, no matter how big, and I know some of you, he's getting a little nervous here, Carl, with that commitment, but he's good for it. 4 Sketchbook Pro licenses from Autodesk, 3 iPad Airs, passes to Maker Kids Adult Night, the definitive guide to hardware funding by ShopLocket, Shopify memberships for life, 3 6-month memberships to the brand new makership space, The Shop, a Kiwi Wearables dev kit, a bunch of Mars stuff, other legal services from Cobalt, PR from Lotus Leaf PR, Lovebot Robot prize pack. That's all for first place. It's incredible. Second place prize pack. 3 Samsung Galaxy Tab 3s. 3 3-month pro memberships to the brand new makerspace, The Shop. Shopify for Life. Kiwi Wearables Dev Kit. 3 Sketchbook Pro licenses from Autodesk. 1 Mayo gesture control pre-order from Thalmic Labs. Passes to Maker Kids, ShopLocket, Lovebot, Mars stuff. Third place, 3 Kobo 10 Arc 10 tablets. Push strength pre-orders for the entire winning team. Kiwi Wearable Dev Kit, 3 Sketchbook Pro licenses from Autodesk, Maker Kids, membership to the shop, Lovebot Robot prize pack, Mars stuff. Those are the prize packages. I'm going to now introduce the 5 judges. I'm going to ask each of them just to introduce themselves. Before I do that, I want to tell you how they're going to score you. So we're using standard Startup Weekend global scoring metrics, 3 main categories of scoring. So pay attention to this. First, business model, customer validation. Second, user experience and design. Third, product execution. Each of those categories is marked equally, tallied with a total, and that's how we are ranking the teams. So I'm going to start by I'm going to hand the mic to Lenny. He'll introduce himself, and then we'll go to Chris and to the rest of the judges. And unfortunately, we have 1 mic, so we're going to be doing this kind of thing all night.
Hi, I'm Lenny Freilich, and I'm with the Ontario Centres of Excellence, or OCE. I'm responsible for the ICT sector, digital media, and financial services. I work primarily with universities and projects in the central Toronto area, so I'd be happy to work with any of the teams on a going forward basis. Great to be here.
Hi, I'm Chris. You all met me on opening night. I am a partner at the working group and I guess the guy that helped bring Startup Weekend to Toronto and to Canada. So I'm pretty happy to be finally, after all these years, sitting here judging you guys. Looking forward to it.
Thanks. Pearl Chen.
Hi everyone, my name is Pearl Chen. I'm formerly the Research and Technology Manager at the CFC Media Lab, where I helped students rapid prototype art and entertainment projects. I'm currently with the TELUS Digital Labs, where I'm helping TELUS rebuild their corporate culture into one that's more of a startup. And I also have my own business, Karma Laboratory, where I teach electronics and wearables and other technical education.
Thanks, Pearl. Christina Waters.
Hi everyone, so you probably recognize me. I was helping out some of you guys earlier this week. I'm with General Electric, specifically in their water division. I'm currently doing their product management, which includes marketing and sales. In addition, I work for our corporate office, which is out of the United States, so I do a lot of stuff relating to our internal innovation and growth drivers, as well as some other change management activities that we have going on, so really trying to transform the business into something that's more agile and functional. So, thanks.
Thank you. And Carl Martin.
Hello, I'm Carl Martin, CEO and co-founder of Bionim. We make the NIMI wristband, which we'll be giving away to the winning team. This is the wristband that authenticates your identity using your cardiac rhythm. And you use that to unlock your world, to unlock devices, to provide a personalized experience. Myself, I'm formerly an academic, PhD in electrical and computer engineering, so I'd love to see what everybody's doing with electronics, and looking forward to see what you've done.
So I think, is everybody ready to demo? Yeah? Okay, so can we get ShipMetrix and also AdvEyes up here to start getting ready, please? So you guys are going to have 5 minutes to present, and then we're going to flip over to some Q&A for the judges. So that's 5 minutes. We're going to be timing you. Once your time is up, that is it. We're going to boot you off. And also, Sunil just reminded me, we're also going to be tweeting a lot, part of the global hashtag battle. Please take pictures, share your tweets. The hashtag is SWTOmaker, hashtag GSB2013. So please share your experiences from the weekend, but only the good experiences. Before these guys get going, I also want to remind you guys that this event is being live streamed, thanks to our friends at HTML5 Toronto at the back there. Watch out for the audience of millions tuning in.
Thank you. Thank you. Hi, everyone. We are ShipMetrix, and we provide advanced analytics for tracking your shipments. The problem that we identified in the market is that there's no real good way to track data and meaningful metrics on high-value items that you're shipping. There's point-to-point tracking, but that only lets you know when a product has arrived or left a port. There's no meaningful metrics that allow you to see if the temperature has been right, or if your product's been knocked around, or if the orientation has been placed the wrong way while it's been in motion. And as well, product issues aren't known to you until they're delivered to the final consumer, which wastes you a lot of time. So our solution is a hardware and software product where we're able to gather location information, temperature, humidity, handling, as well as orientation, aggregate that into a beautiful web app interface, which you can check your shipping information from anywhere in the world. So the market opportunity really has to do with the broader shipping industry, which is huge. But more specifically, we're looking at people that are shipping high value, unique, and one-of-a-kind items. For example, racehorses, exotic cars, medical supplies, unicorns, and art. We're specifically targeting delivery companies, and we're going to go after UPS, FedEx, and DHL so they can supply value-add services to their customers. We did a little bit of market validation during the weekend. We did speak to some management from GE, and they said this actually solves a problem that they are looking at. We were also able to talk to someone that owns a horse ranch, and he said he would definitely be willing to pay a little bit extra money to make sure that his horse is safe while it's being transported. Our value proposition has 4 components. First, affordable hardware. This lowers the barrier to adoption so that our clients can grab the hardware and then be sucked in by our beautiful software experience. Number 2 is the detailed and real-time analytics. You're able to track where your package is and update and check all the metrics that are going along with it real-time, any point during the trip. Number 3, we have a beautiful visual interface to grab all this complicated and technical data, put it into one spot, view it graphically so that even non-technical users are able to analyze it. And finally, it provides an incremental revenue opportunity for these shipping companies. So UPS is able to offer this value-add service to their customers and as well bring in incremental customers who may not have felt as comfortable shipping these high-value items in the first place. So now I'm going to hand it over to Dimitri, who'll talk a little bit about our software, hardware, and our business plan.
So the software dashboard is one of the most, one of the most important aspects of our system because it deals with a lot of data that has a lot of numbers to it, and we have to visualize this in a very intuitive and simple way for the customers. So this would be the generic kind of dashboard that you would see with any tracking service today. You see where it's going and the checkpoints that are given to you. Now the user has the opportunity to check exactly what sensor is with his product or her product, and that's relative to the product that's being shipped. So for example, we're looking at a gyroscope data. So this deals with how many times the object has been twisted, churned, and how hard it has been twisted or churned. And at the very top of the highest peak, to simplify the data for the user, it says exactly where it was, when it happened, and what part of the country it was happened and who was responsible for it. So to demonstrate how it shows in real life, we have our package going off on a vessel, and then whoever is dealing with it drops it. And of course, during presentations, this is never going to work. So we're going to try again. That's it. Yep. That dinosaur. So it's traveling, gets dropped, and does not work again. So, well, what was going to happen is that you have your time frame, and it shows day by day how many jobs it has gone through and the magnitude of the job. So it's really significant. You can see exactly what part of the world it was from and who was the party that was responsible for your package at that time. So this is the technology we're dealing with right now. We have the motherboard supplied by the Kiwi Group, and this is it right here. So we have the battery component to make it last through the entire journey, and it's currently encased in a plastic casing, but ideally we would go with something a lot more flatter to work with the stackable kind of interface, or just the way boxes are stacked, so it's not in the way and it's not knocked off or anything like that. So for our revenue model, we're working with business to business and on recurring revenue on software licensing. So we're licensing this out, and yeah.
Process. Maybe, yeah.
Good job, guys. Always hard to get that stuff working for a demo. My question is really about your target buyer selling to the shippers themselves. Of course, I can see the value add component, but I can also see the deep level of concern that they might have as their customers ultimately see how many times they, the shipper, are dropping this or doing the wrong thing with that parcel. So I wonder if you've got that wrong and actually you want your buyer to be the end user themselves that are shipping this and can hold accountable their shipping companies.
Exactly. So initially in our business plan, we would first provide it to the shipping company, and the shipping company would only be able to see this data. This gives them an opportunity to pinpoint exactly where the service is lacking and act upon it. So then in a 3-year time frame, then they would be able to be transparent enough and show exactly what's happening in their service and kind of show the value behind it and be able to show and give that exact dashboard to the customers and be confident enough that they will provide that service the customer is looking for.
So I had a technical question around connectivity. What happens if you had to ship a package that went overseas or in the air? How are you going to track something real time?
So there's a couple ways we found a solution to that problem. And while it's in transit, both in the air and over the sea, there are connections to the ground. So at least for the sea, we'd be able to set up agreements, ideally with the shipping company who owns the ship, and ping their satellite phone, because the data that's sent is really small, very, very small, and it needs to only be sent once every hour, once every 10, 15 minutes. So it's not a lot of data. And if we could set those relationships up, I think we would be able to get that data to the customer in real time.
So we're pretty much working off the vessel that's already part of the global network at all times.
Just because we didn't get to see it actually working, can you just quickly tell us how much you actually got working over the course of the weekend, and we'll take your word for it?
Yeah, so actually, thanks to the great guys at Kiwi, we were able to do most of these things. But what we've set up here, it's mainly the accelerometer, and it tests up to a certain threshold when it's been dropped, and then it gives you essentially an event that happens and a warning. So we were able to set up a graph that measures over time the variability of those G-forces.
And also, the motherboard that we're dealing with only has 2 functioning sensors at the moment, the gyroscope and the accelerometer, but they are developing on including microphone and temperature and everything else that could be included onto that motherboard.
Nice. Thanks very much, guys. Let's give it up for ShipMetrix. Well done. It's always hard to go first. All right, so up next, we've got AdvEyes. And can we also have GameFIT to start prepping the presentations, please? We're going to have Peter from Startup Weekend sitting down the front with a clock timer. You can keep an eye on him so you get a bit of a better sense of how much time you have left. No beep, just a countdown.
Our product is obviously called AdvEyes, and what it is a mobile addition to any white cane that adds an extra dimension to the normal white cane. And rather than going on and explaining it, we can just give a demo to start.
So this is the ordinary type of thing. It is not exactly, but what we have added is that one. So as a blind person, you used to do this all the time to make sure that you are going forward and nothing is in front of you, but you have no information about here, like basically in front of you. So, okay. So this provides the information about what's on your eye level and up there. So you are not going to, for example, smash your head to low-hanging branches or whatever is in front of it. It's for blind people, so they don't have any feedback. So it's going to just give you a vibration feedback. That's it.
So when we started with something that really wasn't an issue for blind people, and we kind of had to go back to the drawing board. And what we came across was there was one issue that kept coming up every time that white canes were mentioned, which was shown by this quote here really well. Which, to summarize, basically what we said is like it's only sensory information from the ground level. There's nothing in front of you. So if you're trying to get around by walking, getting over a curb, yes, it's easy. But if there's a tree branch in your way, you're just going to run into it because you're not going to pick it up from in front of you. So that's the issue we're trying to solve. Regarding form factor, we chose a modular approach for 2 reasons. One, liability issues is we can sell the product as a security added feature, so we don't actually have to manufacture the cane itself. And in addition to that, we can, the second point is that surprisingly, white canes are seen as like a fashionable thing in the blind industry, or community rather. And so you could just buy the fashionable cane you like and just add it on. Next. Where we see ourselves in the market is we want to, I know this sounds weird, but grab some of the features from the guide dog and bring it into the cane. Because the dog obviously has the issues of being a dog. You have to feed it, pet it, give it a home, and like Lassie, it, well, passes away. So it's a low-cost point and brings those solutions to everyone. Judging by our product, we're probably going to be able to sell it for around $50 on the market. And where do we see this in the market? There's 2 avenues we could go through. The first would be selling it to online retailers / manufacturers. The first, one of the best companies we've seen in Canada is Amputech. And they're a really good industry for like they don't just have like normal disability equipment. They try and like have things that are like out of the box. The second is there's nonprofit organizations such as CNIB, which basically give these products to people through like funding like corporate cash and like personal donations and that. That way we would have we would cut out the whole advertising part of the cost. So the customer acquisition. First, the 2 ways I described, but also starting out, we would obviously need some cash. So the first thing that came to mind was socially responsible marketing, which would be we would try and get cash from corporations, which in turn would make them seem like they support the accessibility community and make them look good. As for the future, we can go on and describe that.
Sure. So for future growth product, we are looking at data services which we can provide to existing healthcare providers, and also in terms of hardware devices. Any form factor that comes and takes a tradition, we are going to have integration points for those, whether it's eyeglasses, Google Glasses, or any other form factor wearable, we're going to integrate with them. So basically, again, data. The data that we're going to provide, it's going to be privacy aware. That's the #1 concern. That any data we're going to collect, we're going to provide it to healthcare or existing healthcare systems. Anything else you want to add? Okay.
You may just, for the demo, you just may want to touch it and make sure that
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That's very cool. Question, a two-part question, actually. You did mention liability, but I didn't hear an answer to that question. So what are the liability issues of the failure of the device? And also, do you fall under any regulatory scheme? Would you require any approval for this product?
Okay, we thought about testing. So we spoke about some mentors. They told us that it's really hard to put some product in the pharmacy market, health market. So we thought about this part, and we said in the testing part that today we cannot do it. We can prove that our simple technology, because it's actually not so technological, can be 100% at least safe.
Basically, we try to minimize like the moving parts. Like some other concepts seem like a lot more intricate, like navigation and stuff. But there's yes, more features, but on the other hand, there's a lot more that can go wrong with those.
So basically, the technology is so basic that it works, and it has been around for a long time. So it's robust and reliable. In terms of the electronics, there are always some problems like that regarding the electronics. They may stop working, but this is not that complicated, and it's working, and it works.
To answer the question about liability, that was the main question. we somehow were tackling it now. So somebody actually over here from GE gave the idea that if we tag along and we tag along the product as a modular, that was one of the first thing that they said. And what that does is it takes care of the liability issue for at least provide a legal framework as a workaround. That if you add it as a modular, whoever is providing the cane takes the major hit of liability. That's a workaround, somebody said. And we just, again, have to get a legal advice around it. So.
I think I'll ask the same question I did the last group, and then I'll also advise everybody to really make an effort to show what you actually completed over the weekend, because I have no idea what that device does.
So they are blind, so they actually have to try libraries. So you put your hand. Okay, you see as I. No. You feel it? You feel it? So it works. It really is slight because of the battery issues, but right now it works.
Okay.
Why don't you, Chris, come and test it out?
No, I'm going to take your word for it. Even if it doesn't work or I can't tell, just explain what it does. We're going to believe that you've had some success with it. So if you're starting off, you need to show us, kick off your presentation, and just hand it over to the judges so we can see it while it's happening. It's hard to get it all done in 5 minutes. I recognize that, but we want to know what you've done. This is especially this edition being a maker edition. We can't just see it up on the screen.
So during your presentation, a couple times you referenced how your solution fits relative to some competitive solutions. Tell me what those competitive solutions are and why yours is better.
One solution was a similar idea, yet it was a lot older technology. So similar idea, but it was about even twice the size of that. Plus, it was $1,000. So. And the other concept was glasses, like glasses with that had feedback for left and right. But the issue with that is it still needed to be used in conjunction with a cane. So we wanted to combine the form factor.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, so up next we've got GameFIT, and can we have Ascend to come down and start prepping the presentations, please?
Hi, we're GameFIT. My name is Prashant, and I pitched GameFIT to you on Friday. Yeah, I'm the guy who said I want to bulk up and get fit and get my wife to say you're my hero. But like all married men know, it's easier said than done. I've personally spent the last 3 years of my life literally donating to gyms and personal trainers in the GTA. My personal trainer drives a Lexus now, and I'm far from achieving my goals, as you can see. I've never been able to stay motivated long enough to get those results. This is something that all of us who are like me can relate to. That's because people are motivated by a lot of factors. Some of them are motivated by money, some of them by guilt, some of them by Rob Ford. But the one thing that all of us can relate to is the suffering of a fellow human being. And that is a great motivating factor. For instance, take Lena. Lena is from Nairobi. She's 37, she's a mother of 2, and she needs a loan to buy something as basic as clothes. So how are we going to be able to help them, and where does GameFIT come in? What GameFIT does is it challenges you to take a GameFIT challenge. If you accomplish the challenge successfully, you can choose to donate money to Lena, and GameFIT will lend the money to Lena on your behalf because you completed the challenge. So what exactly is a GameFIT challenge? You choose a level of challenge that you want to take, whether it's easy or a beginner or an expert. You choose the time period for 1 to 4 weeks. You choose the kind of activity that you want to perform, and you choose a tracking device, a wearable tracking device that automatically tracks your activity, be it a Fitbit, Nike Fuel Band, Runkeeper, or Kiwi, or what have you. And this basically is used to check whether you've actually completed the activity, and once you've completed the activity, the money reaches Lena. So is there really a market for something like this? We believe there is a market for something like this. If you look at the fitness industry, it's worth over $75 billion, $24 billion in the US alone, $25 billion yearly growth, and there are more than 1.5 million Weight Watchers in over 30 countries. And this is the reality. 30 to 50% of the people drop out of gyms. 9.4 million people who join gyms drop out every single year in the US alone. And the economic loss of this is more than $9 billion or $4 billion, whatever. On the other hand, the micro-lending facts are the micro-lending facts, the total amount of money lent on Kiva is $500 million. Kiva users who have funded a loan, 1 million of them. 1.2 million users have borrowed money, and Kiva is there in 73 countries today with a repayment rate of 99%. Now, we're trying to merge these two things, and this is our competition. Charity Miles, Everest, Zombies Run, other motivating fitness apps which tell you that they can motivate you to work. But are they really our competition? They're not. How is GameFIT different? GameFIT focuses and is built on enlightened self-interest. It's a philosophy that states that by helping others, you eventually help yourself. We focus on the butterfly effect. We clearly illustrate that if you do something here today, which is as simple as walk a mile, you are actually influencing the life of a person in another country, and it helps them meet their goals. It is not a charity. These people out there don't want charity. So how are we going to get our customers? We're going to tie up with gyms and help them drop their dropout rate. We're going to tie up with Kiva. We're going to leverage existing users of Fitbit, Nike Fuel Band, and Runkeeper. And we're going to tie up with fitness organizers such as Marathon, Spartan Race, and Walk a Mile. Our revenue model is app downloads, loan repayments from Kiva, contribution from corporate sponsors, and we charge for creating campaigns with gyms to reduce their dropout rates. So what did we do this weekend? We started with the fitness game engine. We pivoted to a platform that promotes enlightened self-interest with a fitness component. We launched our website. We spoke to 5 people at Florida Jacks, and we challenged them to run an extra 30 minutes, and we raised $25 for Lena on Kiva, and we raised $5,000 in corporate sponsorship from Zenith System Solutions. I'd like to specially thank Mike Lovas and the Kiwi Wearable Tech team, especially Ashley, who put us on track, Sunil, who really, really helped me connect with Mike and the Kiwi team, and of course, the Startup Weekend team. So thanks, guys.
I have a question about your customer validation. So you said you went to the gym and you talked to 5 people, and so you asked them to sort of help out with this. But I'm wondering, do you have any larger numbers? Because this could be viewed as a very controversial game system because Kiva itself is very controversial. So do you have any more data about customers and what they may be saying?
No, we were only able to go and talk to 5 people at the gym, and we didn't have much time, but yeah, we're surely going to try and do more customer validation. We did speak to some of the personal trainers at the gym, and they've always mentioned that getting people to stay motivated is really, really hard, in spite of them being personal trainers and taking the thinking out of working out, but it's still really hard. I'm not sure I completely understand when you say Kiva is controversial. From what I've seen of micro-lending sites out there, they're crowdfunding sites, and they are fairly popular based on the amount of money that Kiva has lent so far. But that's something that I'd definitely explore to make sure that there is no controversy there.
So I love the concept. I think it's really interesting that you're bridging the 2 worlds between fitness and micro-lending. My question concerns your statistic on 30 to 50% dropout rate of gyms. I was wondering if you considered the number of people who download apps and then stop using them. Because there's a lot of people, myself included, I've downloaded a fitness app with great gusto and then have dropped it because I don't want to use it anymore. And then what does that mean for all these people who are depending on your app for micro-lending?
Actually, we thought about that. And the one thing that we are going to do differently from the other fitness apps out there is most of the fitness apps tell you exactly what you have to do with respect to the kind of exercises that you have to perform. Or if you take an app which is our closest competitor, like Charity Miles, that says run a mile, and for every mile that you run, we donate 25 cents. But now this is up to you. You can choose to run, you can choose not to run. There's nothing that's pushing you to run. And in case of zombie run, like Holly was telling me, she ran for a couple of days, but then she got bored of it because she preferred listening to music as compared to somebody telling her to run because there was a virtual zombie chasing her. But with respect to GameFIT, what we're going to do different is every day there is a challenge that they would have to unlock. The challenge is going to start off slowly. So if you have to run 50 miles in a week, and that's the challenge you've signed up for, we would start with run 1 mile today. And then run the next day, they would unlock the challenge, and then it would say run 2 miles. So there is a certain amount of randomness. They don't know what they're going to do, and that's how they can stay motivated. The second aspect that we've considered, and this is feedback that we've got, is that we will request these people to give us money up front, and we will tell them that we will match your contribution. So they are more motivated in order to complete it, and if they don't complete it, that money is not going to go to them. So they'd rather complete the challenge and help give that money to Lena as compared to give the money to us, and we're going to keep it. So again, this requires a little more thought. We're going to spend some more time thinking about it, but yeah, this is the general working idea right now.
All right, so up next we've got Ascend, and can we have Pawly down to the front to start getting ready, please?
Good evening, everyone. We, the healthcare professionals, designers, and engineers of the Ascend Corporation, are happy to present to you the StableRiser, formerly and dumbly called the Grip and Slide. Now, next slide, please. So, I saw someone tweeted earlier from the Hunger Games, may the odds be ever in your favor. And let me tell you, from a health system perspective, the odds most certainly are not in our favor. Senior citizens are a high burden on our system at the moment. And the highest 10% of users of our system account for over 60% of the healthcare costs. So that's a very small proportion of these people who are accounting for over 30 billion of our healthcare system dollars. And so what we need to do is to find a way to stem the tide. And that's what the state is at the moment. There's no telling what will happen once not only our grandparents' generation moves on, but when our parents move on and become seniors themselves and need care. So what we need to find are opportunities to take the manageable and avoidable costs and manage them and reduce them to help take control of our system. And Vanessa is going to tell you more about that.
Greetings, everyone. Thank you, Randall, for bringing it from the policy and the system view. I wanted to just share that everybody in this room, whether you are considered a senior yet or not, we are all going to become seniors. And in Canada, the stats go around from 65 and up. To give you an idea where we are right now, there are 5 million Canadians 65 years or older, and the World Health Organization projects that by 2050, most of us will be seniors, and we're looking at 2 billion people. I'm not going to read through the slides, but we've got lots of stats here. Most prominently, 1 in 3 seniors falls per year, and once you hit 80, that reaches 1 in 2 seniors fall at least once per year. That means that 1.3 million falls in Canada each year, and that 20% of those that get a hip fracture end up dying in the hospital usually. 51% of these happen in the home, and the main reasons are tripping because of tripping, stairs, and getting in and out of bed. What's important now is the solutions that are on the market are very reactive, and so that means you've already fallen down the stairs. We all remember that Made It on TV commercial, fallen and I can't get up, canes to help. The other piece is that they don't deal with comorbidity when there are different challenges that seniors are facing already. So you may be getting a pill that's making you dizzy, and then as a result, you're not stable on the stairwell. What I think is also significant is that the risk factors are environmental, health, and behavioral. But in each of these buckets around the center, they're all pointing to environmental conditions. And that's what we need to look towards, solutions that are going to create age-friendly environments.
Okay, so what do we have when we're going down the stairs? On the left side there, we've got the current hand grip for many common railing designs. And as you can see, they all have the same sort of horizontal type hand position. So what we've come up with is a system that goes over top of your existing railing and augments your hand position. It's designed in such a way that it interacts with the web of your hand to create a more comfortable position when your hand has your thumb interlocked and your fingers around the back. So by doing that, we've put the person in a position that they can correct themselves from minor slips and loss of balance by having their hand in the correct position. So with that, we went out to the public and we asked them to try out our product. And what we found was that 73% of customers said that they liked the new hand grip that we were presenting to them. In fact, we have one quote from a woman saying that my grip felt safer on the new banister. 23% of people showed a learning curve. And that's actually in part of the product because it's designed to be uncomfortable if you're holding the banister incorrectly. So people have a natural tendency to move from discomfort to comfort. That drives their hand into the correct position. So we've selected materials for going into the markets of facilities that are plastic and hydrophobic and assist with grip. Did you have anything else you want to? Yep.
So in terms of the value proposition, what we're looking at here is essentially by avoiding falls, what we can do is avoid visits to the ER, which cost $800 per day. So with every avoidance of this and at a cost of only $6 per foot, We're essentially substituting, avoiding costs, giving people a better patient experience, better quality of life, and independence. Thank you. Sure.
Thanks very much for the presentation. So what I think I heard you say is that your solution will save the medical system money, in addition to obviously saving individuals a lot of pain and grief. Who do you think will end up paying for it, the medical system or the individuals?
So I come from management consulting and healthcare, and this kind of design and issue actually came out of discussions that I've had with clients. Because one of the biggest issues for them is part of their service level agreement is tied to metrics around falls, deaths, and ER visits of their patients. So a lot of it, our penetration strategy enters through long-term care facilities. So those are the ones who are paid directly by the government to provide home care services. Another issue is if people want to do it in-home, the ministry even prioritized that as part of their senior strategy, so much so that they created a tax credit called the Home Health Renovation Tax Credit, which specifically gives a tax credit if you modify your railing to help you make a safer environment for you to age at home.
In addition to that, as you know, these priorities are aligned with research priorities, and that is part of our strategy towards building up the health outcomes and indicators to help along with the collaborative research objectives.
What kind of science went into the manufacturing of this specific rail? I mean, I assume you weren't just guessing at a position that works for this.
So we started out with several different concepts, and what drove us towards this was it was an iterative design process. So we wanted to select something, materials and design that could go onto the existing hand system, so that we don't have to go through replacing an entire railing system and go through building product certification. Making an additive item that goes on that fits sort of the target 60 percentile female, 90% male hand allows it to be comfortable for everyone. So by the selection of materials, what I didn't get to in the presentation was we want to use surfaces such as silicone that have a hydrophobic coating on them. If you've been listening to the news right now, Princeton has an outbreak of meningitis. Meningitis is a liquid-borne or a fluid-borne virus. And so if you have a hydrophobic surface on something that is a common item where everybody's touching it, it will keep disease off of it and stop the spread from transfer from one person to the other. So the shape, you're welcome to try it out if you'd like to put your hand on it. It's a going down ramp if you're on that way. So yeah, that's correct. You put your hand right in the exact same position.
So one other thing to note is that we actually surveyed practitioners. So we're talking about doctors, occupational therapists, and nurses, and asked them what were the leading causes of falls downstairs. And they considered all of falls downstairs very serious to fatal. So we asked them what is the best way to prevent those things, and getting a proper grip on it was the most important thing that they identified. Second was illumination, so there's a lighting feature, touch lighting feature on this as well. And essentially, we designed it around establishing the proper grip, because currently the way that seniors walk is they tend to slide their hand over it the same way that most of us do, but they can't have that confidence.
It's partly to do with over and under familiarity with the stairwell. So if you've lived there forever, or it's a new stairwell. The other added component was that we focused on human-centered design and grounding it also in the existing literature around stairfalls.
I think you've done a great job demonstrating there's a need for this, but what about market size? Like, how many of these do you have to sell to be able to make a business around this?
Sure. So in terms of the facilities themselves, so a lot of these facilities, especially with long-term care, you have residential homes, you have assisted living facilities, and you have long-term care. So long-term care facilities are more for the ones who need nursing assistance and things like that. They're the ones who need assistance just getting around, so it's probably not as much for them. But with residential homes and assisted living facilities, they're one of the few parts of the healthcare system that are still growing because of the ministry's strategy to move care into home and long-term care. So they're trying to free up hospital beds and things like that. In Canada, it's an incredibly large market that's been growing 8% over the last 10 years. We think about the United States when we're moving forward. Getting Medicare and Medicaid approval for this, which only requires proof that it's needed by sick people, it is something that improves their quality of life, in addition to a few other kind of criteria, which we found that we all fit, and validated with one of the mentors who has an assistive device. That market alone, we can take an easier route. So if you've ever watched the United States commercials where they say, do you need an electric wheelchair? We can get you one for free if you're eligible for Medicare and Medicaid. Because what they do is they essentially bill Medicare, Medicaid, and they just distribute it for free. So if we even contact kind of like a reseller like that, it's an easy, cash inflow. So the American market's incredibly large, and private insurers are even more incented to avoid falls.
I think what's really important is that this is preventive, and that it can be a global market where there's old people everywhere. Another thing that I want to drive home, another thing that I want to drive home is that as we age, it doesn't necessarily have to be considered always a cost factor, and seniors can really bring back, contribute a lot of wisdom and life experiences, and that's why we're looking at aging in friendlier environments. Another small thing that I'm going to add again is that around the world, seniors tend to have poorer health conditions when they grow up in lower socioeconomic statuses. So whether it's in Canada, you could look at a neighborhood, and people who are growing up in poorer conditions are going to have more of these falls. But in the world, you can imagine where there isn't the infrastructure that we have, this is more impacted by, more felt by women also. So this is something we don't have all the answers, but in the long term, looking at expanding to different markets, and I'm personally very interested in gendered health and global health, so this is something that we're going to be looking at.
And then after that, it's interactive story beats if you guys want to come down.
Considering the timing that well, and I don't want you to miss a chance to get to show what you've done. So, for instance, in that last case, really interesting product, great idea, but we spent most of the time talking about the market, not enough about the business model, what you actually executed over the weekend. So we're going to try to change the timer approach so you can see the timing, but watch it and think about moving through your presentation if you haven't prepared it on that level. For future reference, prepare it with that in mind. And we won't be too hard on you about that. We will try to ask questions to get the rest of the stuff out, but do keep it in mind.
Hello. We're Team Pawly. And the thing is, you love your pet because he's cute, because he does tricks, because he keeps you company, because he's your friend. But the thing is, you work 8 to 9 hours every day, and every morning you leave your house, you feel guilty, you feel like crap because you're leaving your friend alone for 8 to 9 hours. So what if this doesn't have to happen? Meet Pawly, Essentially what Pawly is a robotic toy that you can control using a mobile app on your phone. Pawly has a camera that allows you to see your pet. Pawly has speakers so you can talk to your pet. Pawly has a microphone that you can mute so you can hear your pet. And Pawly has wheels so you can chase your pet around your house. And right? You can also give your pet a treat. I mean, imagine like being on your lunch break and playing with your dog for 15 minutes. Imagine showing your coworkers that your dog can sit, and imagine having the peace of mind to be able to check on your pet any moment you want. Pawly is about making the experience of having a pet better. The video does more than just show your pet. The video lets you take pictures. I mean, imagine if your dog did a backflip and you missed that moment. With Pawly, the thing is that never has to happen because the video automatically records and refreshes after 1 minute because, you know, you don't want to use up your battery. But if you choose to capture that moment, you can save that moment and you can share your experiences with your pets when they surprise you most. Pawly takes interaction with your pet to a whole new other level. I mean, imagine being able to let your parents, your friends, play with your new puppy, even though they live halfway across the world. We've designed Pawly to withstand everything that your pet will put it through. If it's flipped over, it can still move because the wheels still touch the floor, right? Your dog likes to chew, right? So it has a rubber case, and whenever it's too chewed up, you just take it off and buy a new one. You can customize Pawly whatever colors you like.
So this is what we've done in the last 2 days. We've got a web server running on a Raspberry Pi, and so your phone, if you can show it, connects to the web server and streams out the video. So it's a little dark there. Maybe if we show the screen. Still a little dark on our display. It's lighter on the phone. And so the phone can also issue control commands, so you can control the motors and drive around your house. You can move the camera up and down. I don't think our control is working right now, just due to the smallest of network implications, but hopefully later on for a demonstration. And yeah, that's it. That's Pawly. Oh, sorry, we're not done. There's a little more. That was just the robot.
Hi everyone, my name is Robin Kwan, and I want to tell you guys that this problem is valid. We've surveyed over 100 people within North America. We went, I think, even to Boston and New York, and we posted everywhere. And we know that this problem is valid. Over 80% of people feel very, very guilty for when leaving their dog at home, and 50% of them actually do leave their dog at home between 5 to 7 hours. We also wanted to validate our solution. So in doing so, we actually went to the Eaton Center and generated $9 full dollars in selling the idea. I want to talk to you about the market. This market is over $50 billion big. That's a very, very big market, and expected to grow 4.5% annually over the next 3 years. Next slide. So how are we going to make money with this? We have a 3-tiered structure. We want to be able to attain customers, engage them in our product, and maintain, we want to attain, how are we going to make money? We want to attain the customers, engage them, and maintain them. How are we going to sell? Through the multiple channels. We want to go direct. We want to go through the shopping channel, and we want to go through PetSmart and national retailers. In terms of implementation over the next couple of months and years, we want to be able to vet out the product, validate the idea, and go to market with that strategy. So big thing to keep in mind is that we want to focus on what matters most, and that is your relationship with your pet. Thank you very much.
I think that's a great idea. Really well done. Great to look at the prototype you put together. I hope you're planning on doing a Indiegogo campaign immediately after this. I guess I'm wondering on the customer validation side, just a little bit more detail on what you did. Did you actually speak to any of the channels that you were focusing on there and get some data on that front?
Yeah, sure. So we set up a survey that we wanted to really. Sorry, repeat the question.
I'll make it simple. Can you give us more details on all the customer validation you did, including on the channel side? Channel being, did you talk to the pet stores, anyone inside those organizations that would be distributing the product for you?
We did not do that. So no validation on the actual channel. So we didn't talk to any national retailers or anything like that.
In terms of the customers, though, we conducted a survey online. So we were spamming cities like Los Angeles, New York, Toronto. We conducted this survey on Craigslist, Reddit, and we were able to get over 100 responses. And guilt and missing your pet when they were away was one of the biggest things. And in addition to that, with the $9 that we generated, that's actually huge, because we really wanted to see if people believed in this idea. So I personally went to the Eaton Center and talked to people, right? And out of around 50 people, I managed to have a conversation. Around 20 people, I managed to have a conversation with. 9 people believed in our idea so much that they were able to donate $1 because I only asked for $1. And what that dollar meant was that they were willing to pay for our product.
And how long did you do it for? 27 minutes and 44 seconds. So $9 in 27 minutes and 44 seconds is a huge deal.
Yeah, that means 9 people. Come on.
How much do you think, what do you think the end user price of the product will end up being after distribution? And what did you do in your validation to confirm that people would be willing to pay that price?
So in the survey, we asked people how much they would be willing to pay for a product as such, and it ranged from $100 to $1,000 based on the cost of the actual unit being in and around $200. That's in the prototyping stage. We plan to get economy scales and bring it down to $150. We want to sell it between $200 and $249. Based on competition, it is very well priced.
All right, guys, so up next we have interactive story beads. And then can we have Adoptap down to start getting ready, please?
Hi everyone, my name's Allison and I'm a parent. And just like lots of other parents, we see that our kids really like to collect stuff. They like to share it with their friends. My kids also like to tell stories and make their own stories up. But as a parent, I find it hard to keep up with their collections unless it is inexpensive and really durable. I like if they foster creativity for my children. And it'd be really cool if there was a collection that could be both online and offline. So this weekend, and there's actually over 12 million kids in the age range here in North America. So there's lots of kids, and they need a new collection that's both online and offline. So I'd like to present to you griflens. It's interactive story beads, and these are some shots from our actual customer validation today. So essentially what it is you've got, if I switch over to here, you can purchase these sets of story beads. That's a sample of some of them. And then you go online. You go online and you activate your beads. And we tested some solutions this weekend. We found that the QR codes was the thing that the kids liked most because they liked the visual portion of the QR code, and they also liked that it went straight into the computer. We also made a working prototype of RFID tags with a USB reader, but we put that aside just from a cost perspective, that we couldn't keep the cost down on the bracelets and the devices. So you activate your beads. And then this is the really cool stuff. You pull the different beads into the story circle, and then you create your story. And depending on which beads you've got in your story circle, it creates a customized story based on exactly what beads are in your story circle. So I'd like to show you some, we also designed some packaging around the different collections that you could collect. So the idea is that you could both have collections that we manufacture, and they're the same for everyone, with some rare ones that you want to get and collect, as well as some other things for the older kids where they can customize their own, and we'll 3D print them and send them to you. So here's a short video of the two customer validation sessions we did today. We had a public one at Smock Cafe where we opened it up to the public. Here you can see the kids playing with the beads. The younger child is really into the stringing of the preset beads, like ones that have already been made for them. We also gave them clay. So really, the focus group really allowed us to validate that we need to build more than just a static set of beads, that the kids, the older kids especially, wanted to create their own beads. So we've built the system to right now just have static beads, and you can pull the static beads into the stories. So we got into talking about trading and what you do with the extra beads. So by the end of our user test, we actually had 3 sales, and the way we're pricing it is the standard beads would come in a starter pack with the bracelet and the 4 beads, and that would be $5.99. But if you get the custom beads, that would be $24.99 in order to get the 3D printed, customized ones. In terms of our plans, in the short term, we'd like to use a concierge style to prove the concept and validation, and that will be a lot of 3D printing. Longer term, we'd like to use a Kickstarter or Indiegogo campaign to pay for the molds that you need to mass produce the common beads, with the goal of breaking even in that phase. Longer term, we looked at our costs. We spent a lot of time looking at researching costs, and this concept, once we get to scale, can really make some money. And it's even extendable. Other brands could pay to have their stories. We'd license it out to them. We'd create, Harry Potter beads, that kind of thing. And you could mix the Harry Potter beads with your own story beads to create really unique stories. So here's the team. We did have a large team, but we did accomplish a lot this weekend. Thank you.
Chris goes first, always. I'm asking too many questions. I need to think of a question. I'll give it to someone else first, because I'm always asking.
I think we're recording right now.
I have a question. How easy do you think your idea is to copy, and how will you protect your product?
That's a good question, and that's something we really worked on that you don't see here is the back end. So we really built the architecture around the database and the storylines. We spent a lot of time thinking about how a different bead would activate a different thing, and I think it's really about those back-end algorithms so that the stories are really unique. And we built a prototype this weekend so that you can move 4 beads around and get different stories. But that's going to be what we'll need to invest in the future.
Firstly, great job. I knew you would do an awesome job with customer validation, as always. I think your biggest cost, actually, and this is going to be in marketing. And I'm curious about your marketing strategies, because this is, it's gimmicky in a good way, but you have to make this, from my era, like the Cabbage Patch Kids of this era. So why does every kid want this? How are you going to reach this really difficult audience to reach?
Yeah, we want this to be the silly bands or the rainbow loom. Right now, rainbow loom's really big. It's a beading apparatus, and we made it so they're interoperable with the rainbow loom, so this can be the next fad. And also, it's really going to be around seeding with customers. So it's sort of like, when you get a razor and you get the handle for free, perhaps giving low-cost starter kits so that kids get the experience and have fun with it. And then as you're getting the packs, you're going to get duplicates, which then you can swap with your friends or give to your friends. So the idea being that just by you doing it, you can share with your friends. So we'll need to work on the virality of it and put more aspects into the actual story and game so that kids are naturally incented to share it with their friends. And also, it's a bit of a status thing. So that's why we wanted a wearable, so that kids can go to school. And I don't know, maybe I'm so old, but you remember those bands that went all the way up the arm, like before silly bands, or even friendship beads that were on your shoes? It's all around sort of status and what kinds of things you have and showing off your collection. So we're trying to take all those different concepts and have both an offline and online experience.
I would also like to be the first buyer of 2 for my daughters for this weekend. I'll pay a higher price for your early prototypes.
Yeah, if you actually go to BigCommerce, which is one of the sponsors, we've already set up a page there where you can buy individual beads or pre-order the sets. That's how we sold the 3 sets this weekend. Thanks.
Thank you very much, guys. So up next we have Adoptap, and then can we have AltEat up to start getting ready, please?
That's the mistake of opening too many tabs in Chrome. Do we get? What was the PowerPoint? Do we have the robot demo? Sorry?
Thing is, we don't have the map.
Do we have the demo to show right now?
On this computer we do.
So where is the slide deck?
Why isn't PowerPoint loading?
Like PowerPoint is right there.
Yeah, but it's not including. Just use yours. It says not responding. Just play it on Google Drive.
Can you close everything but leave the...
Maybe it's not connected.
It's not connected.
Here, just use yours.
Would we have the demo?
Make another recommendation. So the teams that are on deck, come and speak to, I don't know his name, Michael, beforehand. I don't know what happened with the last team, but make sure you've got your presentation actually downloaded or open on screen on the computer you're going to use it. And then just check with Michael what kind of computer you've got, what kind of resolution you should have. Do all these kind of things that seem kind of obvious, but get them ready before you come down here.
Thank you. We are the AltEat, a companion for your food recipes. Have you ever been running around the net looking for a particular recipe or just looking for a recipe to make at home? And when you actually find the recipe you like, you realize all the ingredients that there are in the recipe, and there's one that it's missing, and you don't have it at home. So what do you have to do? You have to basically go around again, look for another recipe, or find an alternative. And we are exactly that. We are AltEat, a companion for your recipe. We will actually provide an alternative ingredient for any recipe that you have. We are an app-based model that serve you only, as I'm going to show, all the ingredients that you can actually use instead of the ingredients you have in the recipe.
Take the mic with you.
Oh, sorry. So we actually made an app. So let's say in our previous model, we didn't have red wine at home. So what happens next? I'll type in the red wine in my app, the AltEat app, and I categorize it by the type of food I want to make, the recipe. So blending. Glitches.
Okay, there you go.
And I get the, sorry about the glitch, and we get the top ingredients that we can actually replace it with. Based on the rating, it comes on the top vinegar, and the second one is lime juice, and the third one is pomegranate juice or lime juice. And we actually want to choose lime juice because I have that in my fridge. And these are the rating that we get from other users that actually use the app. And the more and more you use it, the better the app gets in terms of knowing that what sort of things you like best and what sort of ingredients you use most. So the value proposition is not just what you don't have at home. It's actually very smart planning for people who like a particular recipe, but they know that they have food allergies, or they have dietary restrictions, or even health conscious planning. They want to work out and they don't want to have wine, let's say, after working out. And those are the actual value propositions that we're offering for them. This is coming from more than 100 surveys that we actually conducted over the weekend. And we actually split in 2 groups, and we did a live interview with people at chapters in the cooking section. And we pivoted from one point to another by actually having, asking them what actually makes sense. So saving time and not having the right ingredient was the 2 top priority, and that's the key. And these are the feedbacks that we got from them. And I'm going to hand the mic to my friend to explain the business model.
Thanks, Benho. Okay, so market validation. So we want to try out, okay, so potential target customer size. So these are usually people, anybody who cooks recipes. So we're talking about 800 million of people globally, and we expect to target 300 million people of this market size. And our revenue model would be paid mobile app. Our product roadmap is divided into 4 quarters. And the first three quarters are going to be free. We're going to be offering our app for free. And on the first quarter, we're going to be focusing on the actual MVP, which is our beta test application, which is going to be providing users with alternatives. On the second quarter, we're going to be focusing on the marketing side, which is where we start sharing our app on Facebook and marketing on AdWords. The third quarter, we're going to be doing partnerships with celebrity chefs. The fourth quarter, that's when we start making the app 99 cents per subscription. And the product roadmap, acquisition, that's when, after a year, we're going to start developing new extensions, and then we're going to start removing filters throughout our new algorithm that using the data by users. Okay.
Questions?
So where's this content coming from?
We'll have Mandad to answer that. The content.
The alternative ingredients is basically we actually do work with other chefs at the beginning. We provide the first few standard issue like alternatives. We by the beta plan we actually get more feedback from people. If you go on any other app that provides recipe, if you go to scroll down the bottom, you see alternative comments about how people are use a particular replacement for that ingredient. So we're willing to actually research and gather that for a standard beginning, and then after that it will be the users. The more users that use it, the better alternatives you will get for any recipe at a time.
So technically speaking, initially we'll be pre-populating the data using the existing app like Yumly and other ones and other blog sites. Later on, we'll try to open it up to crowdsource it when people can suggest and rate accordingly that this is the recipe I tried and it worked out. Also working with celebrity chefs like Jamie Oliver and folks, hopefully through their websites and trying their recipe modifications and try to suggest the substitutions based on that.
So I'm a huge foodie, and I love to eat food and cook food, so I really like anything related to food. Yep, just admitting it in an open forum right now. My question is, I cook a lot. I love to cook, and what I do is I'll Google an alternative ingredient if I don't have it at home, or I yell at Siri, and I ask Siri to find me alternative ingredients. So she's not bad. She's getting used to it. We have a working relationship. We're growing it. But my question is, how is this defendable? Because I'm looking at that. Yeah.
The value proposition is that this is what I actually gone through because I'm a big foodie as well. And what I need is that every time you Google, you basically get tons of different forums and you get different results. Now, the two top priorities is the time consumption. Based on the interviews that we actually had, people don't have time. You go work 10 hours and you come home and you want to make something, although you're a foodie, but you want to get something fast. If you're not able to find the alternative fast enough, you're going to just scrap it and just go with your basic, what you have in mind all weekend, your regular food, basically. So this is the one-step stop app that you can actually provide the solution for the foodie or anyone else who has any alternative needs.
Yeah, adding up to that, after a year, we're going to be extending the application and providing users with a geolocation showing the local stores to where they can find ingredients around them to make it easier for them, because a lot of the times there's some ingredients on your recipes that they might be too far for you to get or it might take a lot of time, so that's why we plan on providing that.
Sorry, I hate to ask this question, but was this just a different interpretation of the word maker? Because I'm not sure where the actual maker in the terms, the way that we've defined it came out.
So we actually were defining the problem as you said it, and we went out and we actually had a device working, a thermometer that would actually work with the food and your app. And we took it out. We took it out with our people, and we took it out with the customers, the demographic, and we asked them, would you like to use this? And out of the 20 people we talked to, none of them actually wanted to spend money. They said that I want to be interactive with my food. I don't actually use the beeper. I'll go around and come back and take the noodle out and see if it's ready. So it would be redundant to actually provide something and make you pay for it without having to make something. Yeah, so sure. It's directly...
Yeah. We're trying to focus on the problem more than the maker part. We decided to, solve the problem that we have in front of us, really.
So we take out the...
So adding on to that, we realized that the main problem that the people who cook is the urgency when they're cooking. They really need the answer immediately there and then. We don't want them to work more from what they are already doing. If we actually give them the thermometer or anything, they actually have to work extra. So we are actually making them increase work, and we actually realized that from our feedback that we got. So that is the time we said we'll make the switch. Yep.
Thank you.
Adoptap.
that's fine. All right, so let's get started. Let me first apologize for the little technical difficulties and for the inconveniences we had, but pretty much we're fixed now. So today I am going to be presenting you the Adoptap. Adoptap is a solution for marketing agencies that launch new products to track the product spread through live engagements. So let's just get quickly into the use of the Adoptap we want to talk about. Can you get, please, next slide? So this is Simon. He doesn't really have a face, but he's a big, scary guy who is a chief of marketing agency who's doing a marketing plan for a new product rolling that comes from a local brand. He finds somebody whose name is, click next slide, whose name is John, and John is somebody who's an influencer in his community. He gives him the free product. And what does usually happen after this? John disappears, maybe he posts a blog post, whatever it is, but Simon never knows what's the real return on investment on that marketing opportunity that he took on. So the problems here are that the best way to spread the new products, especially through the strategies that use social influence, is to have the people talk to real people in the events, have them make this connection, have them spread the idea while talking to them in person. There is much more incentive for the other person to do some action and to check out the new product. But there is no way to track it, there is no way to record it, there is no way to give the incentives to John from Simon, and there is no way to collect the data on that. So that's why we brought the Adoptap.
So we're just going to show you a quick demo with the actual
So this what I'm holding here is an RFID. I'm pretty sure many of you are familiar with it. Essentially what would happen was this would be packaged and shipped off to Simon, and he would embed this in the merchandise, which can then be tracked out in the field. So the benefit of that, it gives us three key pieces of information. Who made the connection to someone else, where the connection occurred, the time it occurred, and what product generated the interest. So maybe it was the shirt that the guy was wearing that got scanned. So we'll just demo it right now, how it would work. There we go. So it'll load up the campaign page of the campaign, whatever's configured to bring up, and they could interact with that.
So this allows for interaction with Shopify, for example, or ShopLocket, and it really brings the product right in front of your screen right away. So for businesses, this is great. It allows them to come up with a solution, integrate it right on their shirt, right on their clothing, right? And allows them to easily market this outside, put it up, right? Get influencers going outside with these pieces of clothing, right? And doing one-on-one marketing. And basically, we allow them to customize this to whatever color you want. So I'm not sure if you saw this, but it comes in enclosing like this. And basically, this can come in any color you want, and it can go any place you want on your clothing. And the NFC chip works through plastic pretty well, and it doesn't cause any problems. The other good thing about this is that we can dynamically change the advertisement away from the chip, so you don't have to reprogram the chip every single time, which can really be helpful. For example, like if a business decides to change their ad one day, they sit at home in the morning and plug in the catalog instead of a product page and see how that works out.
So technically, that's the page of the campaigns that are created. So that's the web app we made for this. We do not have enough time to show many things, but could you just please log in? So technically, that's a random sample data that we just generated to show how the charts would work on. So like this is basically something, the spread of the campaign during the time of the day. Let's just quickly move on to talk about the strategies that we use with our business model. So we price the model based to features and based on the number of users of the model that will spread this. So based on the number of the tags, SaaS model, they pay subscription for the features, plus they pay additionally for each tag. And the rollout model that we actually wanted to do is contacting the local small brand stores to get them first use this product as a novelty and as their marketing solution. After that, off them, scale, and come to marketing agencies.
I'm a little confused. So who is it that's scanning the RFID, and what is motivating them to do this?
So we just got a little bit kind of confused with technology during the pitch. So technically, the person who's scanning the RFID is somebody who's approached by the person who's the influencer in the society, some of their friends, somebody on the party where they come as a socialite, and they say like, look, this is the limited edition jacket. Do you want to know more about it? Give me your phone. Tap. All the information comes up right on your phone without any effort on your behalf.
Follow-up question. So have you validated that anybody would actually go through this process? And you know, you're trying to change people's behaviors, and whenever you do that, that's a challenge.
So technically speaking, this depends on the behavior of the actual person who's doing this kind of marketing. They have the incentive to ask people to do this because they get rewarded on this basis. So while we were trying to come up with the good validation for that model, we started speaking from the top. So we got the reference from Sunil, Mike from mavensay.com. So he was doing the social spread companies. We pitched this idea to him and got the feedback. So the response was, it's just a solution in a very competitive market, but it's still doable. So the people that will get the incentive to do this will be able to influence others to tap their jacket, basically, to see that page. Because it's something nobody ever done. So at the first part, it will come like novelty, and after that, we'll see what happens.
Okay, thank you.
Cool, so we've got Parkey up next, and can we have LifeCapsule up to get ready?
Great, guys. We are Parkey. I think we've already established that parking is the absolute worst. Driving around looking for a spot and paying in an arm or leg when you actually do find a spot. There's a better way, and it's the Parkey way. What we do is we allow drivers to find better and cheaper parking in the city. We let condo owners and owner of parking spots rent out and make money for spots when they're not using them. And importantly enough, we also allow condo corporations a rare revenue-generating opportunity that's far and few between. Let's have a look at how we actually do this. So this is our application. Authorized users can post their spots with details like availability, how much they like to be paid, and that sort of stuff. Authorized drivers can filter, do a search based on filters, geographic location, so on and so forth, and they'll be able to scan and see detailed parking on public parking as well as street parking, in addition to Parkey posted spots. These spots will obviously be promoted and highlighted, and if you actually click on a Parkey spot, you'll see a detailed view with directions, with details such as directions, details on how to get in and out of the building, and through the application, you'll be able to actually make a transaction and purchase that spot with the owner. Once you actually get to the garage, you'll be able to click a single button on the mobile application and open that garage if you're an authenticated user, and we'll show you exactly how to do that. So at each Parkey condo garage, we install this connected device to the parking infrastructure. When a purchase is made, our secure service sends a unique identification token to the device that allows only authenticated users to actually get into the building. That's great, but how do we actually make money? So it'll be free to post and search for spots. However, there'll be a flat rate $3 fee that we validated through some of our consumer research. In addition to this, we think it's necessary to incentivize the condo boards to be on board, as they're a key part of the value chain, as well as a key part of the customer experience. And there's actually going to be no cost up front in terms of hardware installation. We'll back end that via royalties. So based on our surveys and based on some of the calculations and the validations that we've done, we think it's feasible that a condominium would be able to earn upwards of $14,000 in a given year, and participants in the system renting out their parking spots could earn up to $1,000. So we have a lot of engagements from drivers and owners who seem very interested, engaged, and interested in the product. We also did do some validation from the condo board's perspective. We spoke to the director of the Condo Board Owners Association advocacy body, and she was really helpful. She informed us that in order to make the changes, we would likely require a change to the ownership agreement. So, and typically that would require a majority vote. So that is, in our mind, a fairly large barrier to overcome, and a lot of incumbents have seen that as well. So we've already identified that there is a need for the market. What we've done is do a segment pivot. So we recognize that it may be challenging to get into the incumbent lots to overcome that challenge with the condo boards and the governance structure there. So what we've done is decided to target corporate condo boards where their management structure and their governance structure is actually more consolidated. So you wouldn't be selling to the entire board and you wouldn't need that majority vote. We do selected targeting to the most high value condo buildings that are close to entertainment, where the value proposition resonates the most. We would target new developments where those condo agreements haven't been written and structured yet, so that we get on the ground floor and we wouldn't have to deal with changing those. We would be there on day one. Now I'm going to pass it over to Jason to talk about the infrastructure.
This is the high-level architecture of our system. As you can see, we already have the users able to list and reserve parking spots. As well, we're going to integrate a payment system to allow drivers to pay, and we're going to share the profit to the property management and users. And lastly, users are able to use their Bluetooth smart device to authenticate with the Parkey box and with the key. So I'm going to pass over to Aaron, and we're going to show a live demo.
Sorry guys, give us a sec.
Talk amongst yourselves. Yeah, no rush. Come on, baby. Hey.
Okay, cool. So let's open up Parkey and see how it works. So we've got the app open and we want to find a spot. So we're just going to enter a bit of basic information and we're going to search. And then, so what we're going to see is these are open parking spots nearby that fit within the criteria we just specified. So we're going to open one of those up and tap that too to get some more details. So here we're just seeing, price, where it is, how it's been rated, and oh really?
It works.
It works, and we really got to open condo garages wirelessly through Bluetooth.
Wish we saw that. There's a video.
Okay.
Can we play a video in the background?
I think conceptually it's a really cool idea. Last time I lived in a condo, I wasn't actually allowed to rent out my spot to anybody that didn't already live in the building for security reasons. Have you addressed that?
Yeah, so it is a fairly fragmented market in terms of the different rules and regulations that are allowed. My condo board, for example, will allow you to rent it out to people who don't even actually live in the building. So I think what we have to do is we pivoted. We recognize that is a potential challenge. With the fragmentation, we'd have to be more targeted in terms of identifying which condo boards this would actually work with or what condos this would work with, and then narrowing our effort to focus on those boards as opposed to wasting our efforts on condo boards such as your own, where we're kind of against a wall.
More filler questions to watch videos behind.
Yeah, I would have had the same question about the kind of the regulatory part of this, but let's just say that wasn't a challenge. The economics that you showed up there were, I'm not sure if they were particularly compelling. If you looked at the condo board or the condo building making $14,000 a year, I'm not sure that they would care about that. So can you fill me in a little bit more on some of the economics of the overall model?
So to address the question of why would you get out of bed for $14,000, agreed, out of a $100 million corporation coming from condo fees, it's not a significant amount. But I think if you look at condo board operating costs, they continue to go up, and they have to spread that to their constituents through rising maintenance fees. So any opportunity to reduce those costs, I think, is significant. So that aside, the condo board is actually typically formed by members of people who actually own the building. So while there may not be a significant incentive, $14,000 for the board itself, think about the $1,000 a year, what that would mean to you as an individual just renting out your spot for essentially doing nothing at all. So we're selling to both sides, both the condo board as well as the owners themselves.
Sorry, just given that it looks like you did a great job on the execution of the product itself, you might just look at, garage door openers, for instance, like I have a garage door and I have to just click the little clicker on my thing, and I'm always wondering if the battery's going to run out, or if you incorporated something else there that said, this is a piece of hardware we're going to sell for garage doors, you can use a mobile app and there's a security element to it so you can, watch what's going on. That might be something interesting to consider as well. Good job on the product execution.
All right, guys, so we've got LifeCapsule up next, and then our final demo of the afternoon is WaveRider to come down and start setting up, please.
And thanks for your patience, guys. So this is someone we know. This is Anya on the screen, and Anya is part of the sandwich generation. She has a couple of kids at home. She also has an aging mother at home who she worries about because she's on a number of drugs. Her mom doesn't speak perfect English, so she has some trouble interacting with the doctor. And Anya is not sure if her mom is actually using her drugs properly. Unfortunately, Anya is not alone. In North America, 3 million people, elderly people, are admitted to nursing homes every year due to issues with their medications. This totals more than $14 billion in costs to families and health insurance. Drug misuse represents 30% of all elderly hospitalizations in North America. And as dosing gets more complicated for these older people, the risk of hospitalization increases. As you can see, when you're going from 1 dose per day to 4 doses per day, the number of hospitalizations in a 6-month period goes up dramatically. We believe the solution we've created to this is the LifeCapsule. This is a smart, scheduled pill box that you can see over here that connects to the cloud and allows someone who cares about this person to set up a schedule and receive notifications that they're taking the correct drugs at the right time. They're not taking too many, too few, or the wrong ones. So in the short term, what we're looking for from you, the judges, is mentorship and helping build out a channel partnership. We believe that the best sales strategy for us would be to have a channel partnership with a large pharmacy chain such as Shoppers Drug Mart or Rexall. We believe this could be an upsell on the dispensing fee for medications. So while someone is at the counter picking up a prescription for their parent, for their grandparent, the upsell is for an extra $2. You can track this through the LifeCapsule if you're willing to try out the hardware, which we believe we can make for under $50. Yeah, so we're looking for your help and your mentorship to build out that sort of strategy, and that's our business plan. We did some validation of this idea. We talked to a few people in the medical industry. We visited the ER ward at Mount Sinai Hospital earlier today, and we talked to the on-call physician there. He told us that they actually see quite a few people coming in because of issues they've had at home with taking the wrong medication or too much medication. His exact words were, it can be a little bit hit or miss when you have people at home without supervision taking these drugs. We also spoke to a pharmacist at Rexall, and we specifically chatted with her about Rexall's new program that they offer, which is an automated update when you're coming close to renewal time for your prescription, where they'll give you a phone call. We thought this would make sense as another added feature onto that. Also, our friend Anya gave us a direct testimonial, which is I'd easily pay $100 or more for something like that, especially if it could remind a loved one and also send me a confirmation email when he takes them. So she'd be willing to pay $100 for that device, and we're looking at pricing around half that. Another side of the story, so we're looking at 2 different models here. One side is for your parent, grandparent, loved one, someone you're caring for who's forgetful. They're a little bit older. They sometimes forget to take their medication. They get confused. Maybe they take the wrong pill. The other side is someone who has Alzheimer's. We talked to someone who had a grandparent with Alzheimer's and also had arthritis and a lot of back pain. So when you have back pain, it's very normal. You go to the cupboard and you grab an Advil. Now, this person didn't realize that they were taking multiple Advils. They kept going back to the cupboard and getting other. They still had a back hurting. So there's a real risk of overdosing. So not only will this tell you when it's time to take a medication, it'll also tell you if you've already taken that medication. We'll give a quick demo of how the hardware works now.
So basically, it's a general, regular, nothing special pill box that you can buy in Shoppers. And when you take it out, you take out the pills, hopefully not you, place it back, and as it said, you already took it. The schedule that is uploaded from the cloud that obviously is set up by the caregiver automatically specifies that you already took it, don't take it, it's good for today. So it expands from this to a much bigger solution than just tracking how much drugs was taken.
I think that's just about it on time. So we'll open the floor to any questions you might have. Pardon me? Oh.
Questions? How about a question from you? We need one.
By the way, what you saw right now is actual live streaming of that device through the router that is over there onto the cloud service.
Sorry, can I get you to expand on how it actually works and how it's assessing that a pill is being taken and just one pill?
It has to be very simple because whoever is going to be taking is an elderly person who can't understand latest technology or configure it or do anything complicated with it. Hence, for the person who's taking the drugs, it's just a box into which you put your regular pill box. Inside, you have light sensors and light emitters that periodically check so essentially emit light and check if there are any contents inside. Based on the schedule that you have, which you set up, it will start notifying you by blinking that you need to take your drugs. Now, that notification can be not only by like LED, for example, but different means. So that will be the sort of the basic thing. You place it back. From the point of view of the user, it's very simple. From the point of view of caregiver, they get notification immediately if the drug was taken, or if it wasn't taken for a while, then it escalates to a call, SMS, or something like that. So that's a basic setup. It has to be very easy, very simple, because otherwise it will drive the cost up.
In this case, Anya, right? She would have a smartphone, and we build a mobile app that allows you to pair her mother or her father's smart pill box with the cloud service provider through the phone. So we have a QR code there. We go to it, you scan it, and at that point you establish a connection, and then the device starts sending information up to the cloud. And Anya gets immediate notification in her app to let her know when her mom missed a schedule or when her mom, she took her medication.
Actually, I think it would be a use case would be for clinical research organizations doing drug trials. So often it's very critical to them that the drugs are taken on schedule, particularly because there's an entire research thesis built on that. Have you looked at that market?
We looked at that as well as nursing homes, where this is a big problem, and nurses have to take care of essentially remembering or knowing to keep in track, where this is going to take care of it automatically, sort of. So that's one of it.
Yeah, so in the short term, we really want to focus on building out the validation and completing the prototype and completing the basic functionality. In the long term, some other business ideas we have is to look into the health insurance industry. In the United States, private health insurance is huge, and there could be incentives for health insurance providers to provide this type of device to customers, because hospitalizations are very costly, and this could cut down the number of hospitalizations due to incorrect dosage. We'd also look at extending to some other devices or sensors that could connect to this kind of home hub. And we'd also look at getting into long-term care facilities or other business models, as you mentioned, such as clinical trials, definitely.
I guess this is more of a comment than a question, but I think it's a huge problem and an important problem to try and solve. And I wonder if your approach of keeping it simple and low cost is actually the wrong approach, because people would spend a lot of money on this, whether it's the end users themselves or their children, or it's health insurers, or it's government. I think you could actually get into something that's a little bit more complicated, but does a lot more, and therefore has a higher cost.
So in order to get into that market, you have to get in at a low price, because they have to be interested to at least try it out. Now, very important point that you brought up. The device cost is low. The subscription fees are also going to be low, but they're recurring. If you want to keep up this service, you have to be in that subscription fee. That's where the revenue comes in, not from the actual price of the device. It's the same. If you're not interested, if not working for you, give it away. You didn't lose anything. So that is the primary business model in terms of actually generating revenue.
And Chris, I would just add one quick point to that, is that both the ER doctor and the pharmacist we spoke to had not heard of, we mentioned some of the higher cost devices. There are devices in the $500 to $1,000 range that actually do dispensing and do a lot more higher functionality type tasks. They'd never heard of them, and they'd never heard of anyone who had it in a home. So that was why we wanted to continue focusing on the low cost. Yeah. Cool.
Okay, last one. WaveRider.
Kudos to the Kiwi team for their help. It's they were there with us early in the morning and really late into the night to make this happen. So thank you very much.
All right, good evening, everyone. We're WaveRider. We allow surfers to track, to share, and compare their surfing experience with other surfers and their friends and family. So what's the problem we're trying to solve? Well, most land-based sports, whether it be snowboarding, cycling, or running, all have mobile apps that allow their athletes to track their activities and share them with their friends and other athletes. Surfers, however, can't bring their phones into the ocean with them, so they haven't been able to take advantage of this new technology to track their activities. So what's our solution? Well, we've created a product that allows surfers to track their activity in the water, to share it with their friends, and to compete with other surfers based on those analytics, as well as to improve their own performance by competing against themselves.
So what we worked on this week was both hardware and software. In terms of hardware, we came up with hardware designs that would try to be more hydrodynamic and not intrusive to the surfing experience. We also have a functioning Arduino prototype that tracks GPS and SD storage data. In terms of software, we have mock-ups of the iPhone app. We really wanted to focus on the user experience before, during, and after the surf session. So initially you would get a screen of popular surf spots that you like, ones that are around you, and forecasting data about that, so you can quickly choose which place to go and connect with your friends to go there. And then on top of that, each surf spot would have a leaderboard to allow you to join the competitive community, see how you're doing against other surfers. And then obviously there's the profile page showing important statistics to your own personal surfing session. You would have things like longest wave, highest wave, things that surfers would like to know. We also have a design for the front web application, so you can also view your data on the computer. We also have a functioning tracker and GIS solution on the web app. It's actually functional. We're able to animate our GPS data. Unfortunately, we weren't able to go out to a surf session, but we tried our sample data, and it did work.
So let's talk about the market opportunity. There's currently about 1.7 million core surfers in North America. These are people who really love surfing and are willing to spend money on it. On average, about $450 a year on surf hardware. So that's surfboards, fins, etc., for a total market size of about $750 million. That's just surfing. There's also plenty of opportunity to take this technology to other water sports, into surf education, stand-up paddleboarding, kiteboarding, etc. All places you can't bring your mobile phone. So moving on, we did some customer validation. Actually, we're going to talk about our revenue model. Three ways we can make money. We've got our hardware sales itself. We've got app subscriptions. We can provide access to more detailed analytics in the app and charge a premium for it, much like most of the land-based apps, as well as in-app advertising with brand partners who want to associate with the surfing lifestyle. Customer validation, 75% of surfers we talked to were very interested in actually tracking their activity. This is something they want and can't currently do. And 60% of them were willing to pay a substantial amount of money for the hardware, at least $75 or even more in a lot of cases.
So we're also very excited to get strategic partnership with an awesome company called Earthcast. They're a Canadian tech company that focuses in advanced high-resolution space imagery. They're actually launching a rocket tomorrow in Russia to the International Space Station to install 2 of their high-resolution cameras, and that would give us near live views of surf spots on Earth, as well as video data and an archive of each surf spot. So that would really benefit surfers in building their surfing story. For surfers, it's really important to kind of find the perfect surf, and that would be kind of awesome to get. So we have access to the private beta API, hopefully sometime next week.
Cool. So with that, we're really excited about the growth opportunity here. Like we said, these land-based analytic devices for a whole variety of sports have experienced a lot of growth in the last few years. It hasn't happened with water sports. We're excited to make it happen. So with that, we'll take some questions.
So first, a comment. I like to see the aspect that you've taken in the aspect of social competition gamification, because all of the sort of activity tracking systems that incorporate that are the most popular ones. What it wasn't clear about, what information are you tracking? What sensors are you tracking? And what do you think is defensible about what you're doing that it couldn't just be replicated by someone else?
So as of right now, this weekend, for our MVP product, we just have GPS and SD storage. The GPS would just give you a basic session view of how you've done and where have you gone. We are looking into possibly accelerometer and barometer data for more accurate trick data and as well as height data of the surf. As well for in terms of defensibility of our business, the surfing industry is kind of, for lack of a better word, exclusive. It's very, how you say, like, if you're in that lifestyle, you tend to stick with certain brands and certain things. So there are competition out there, but they market to a very wide market audience. And for the surfing kind of individual, it might not be the best. So we are focusing on the surf community, essentially. Exactly.
Yeah, and at this point, there is no technology currently available on the market, so we do have a chance to get there at least close to first and get people using the product once your group of friends is using a particular product. It's not really likely that you're going to switch products because all your friends are using the same product that allows you to share information together.
I also like that you were sort of thinking about the UX around the entire life cycle. So the forecast I thought was really nice, and the community aspect too. So just like 2 clarifications. When you said 75% and 60%, how many people is that actually out of? That's my first clarification. And the second one is, how much is this hardware and app going to sell for?
So we had a chance to interview about 30 surfers. Unfortunately, we're in Toronto. There's not a lot locally available. Luckily, I have some friends out in Tofino and around the world, actually, New Zealand and the UK as well. All surfers who expressed interest in what we were talking about. We were actually able to chat with the Kiwi guys just in regards to hardware costs. They indicated that we could produce hardware similar to what we've proposed here for about $70 based on 1,000 units. So given the research and the feedback we got, we figure we could still get away with selling that for about $150. Obviously, at scale, there's a lot more profit to be made there. So.
I guess more of a comment here as well. When you started to talk about what you're doing, I was expecting to hear more about feedback on the water itself because you're putting this on the surfboard. So I have no idea what you can do in that regard, but that'd be an interesting area to explore. You know, quality of water, speed of water. I don't know. Again, I'm not a surfer, nor am I a sensor guy. But so looking at that, and conversely, if you weren't doing that, one of the other things you can get into the water is like GoPro cameras, and that is something you see in the surfing community. So it might be interesting to look at some kind of partnership to add some hardware to what they're doing, because all the rest of what you've got around creating this kind of full experience is great.
Yeah, I would agree wholeheartedly. There's a lot of brands like GoPro, Red Bull, etc., who I think would make absolute sense to go talk to as soon as possible in terms of integrating this into what they're already doing. So, cool.
Holy shit, everybody. That was really good. You should all give yourselves a massive round of applause. That was amazing. I'm definitely not envious of the judging panel having to make a decision on such a strong batch of startups. You should all feel exceptionally proud of yourselves for what you've achieved this weekend. So we're all gonna relocate now and head to the Beer Academy on Victoria Street, which is just a little bit past Yonge. The judges are gonna retire to deliberate and make their decision. And we will convene over there to make the winner announcements and talk about your prizes. Thanks, everybody. It was really strong, like really strong.
Hey, thank you so much.